At the same time, we are increasing expenditures into space wars. We are decreasing our funding to do research in space.
We're going to start with Space Command. We broadcast out of Huntsville, Alabama, so Space Command has obviously been some of the biggest local news that we have here in the Rocket City, newly named the Rocket City, never before been called the Rocket City before this week. So thank you, President Trump, for this fantastic moniker. I don't know how he thought of it, frankly. It's, really speaks to the ingenuity of our president. Really, I mean, just so that and funny enough, all of the politicians, Republicans, Democrats, local, federal, state representatives, Congress people, all of the politicians have been celebrating this news, talking about how Huntsville was the place that made the most sense for Space Command, and that Huntsville had all the qualifications, and that this is going to be great news for Huntsville. And to be fair to the politicians, I think that's true. Like, as far as, the politics go, like, I do think that Biden's decision to put Space Command in Colorado rather than Huntsville was a more federal decision based on everything that I've seen. I think there was like a report that from the Department of War now that talked about how Huntsville, based on all of the metrics under the Biden administration, was like the number one choice, and Biden went with Colorado instead of Huntsville. But this decision to move it back is also a political decision, because now at this point, Space Command has been in Colorado, and so, to move it is like a big thing, right? So, anyway, I think all of this is kind of tied up in politics, but the politicians have all been universally like excited about this, saying that this is a great thing. And funny enough, the people, I have not seen like one just normal person who is excited about this. Conservatives, Republicans, Democrats, liberals, all of the reactions from just normal people, like on my Facebook feed, like people that I know in real life, have been like, oh, this sucks. There's going to be so many more people here, because they're talking about 30,000 new jobs, and folks are going to have to come in to fill these jobs. And so, the traffic in particular, and the traffic is a big thing in Huntsville this week, because staffing reductions just closed down some of the gates at Redstone Arsenal. So traffic has been terrible in Huntsville this week. And so people are like, 30,000 more cars on the road. No, thank you. So that has been a really fascinating dichotomy, the political reaction versus the normal people reaction. And I just want to say, like, my thoughts on it, I'm more probably positively predisposed to it than negatively predisposed to it, but I will say that it is incredibly frustrating, and probably like a sign of the derangement of our society, that at the same time we are increasing expenditures into space wars, into our ability to conduct war in space, we are decreasing our funding and our ability to do research and science in space. The president's budget calls for a 25% cut to NASA. Hundreds of civil servants and hundreds of contractor employees working for the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center have been separated from their jobs through one way or another. And there's not any indication that those jobs are going to be refilled. NASA is under a hiring freeze at this point. We already have if we want to invest in space, we have NASA. We can invest in NASA, and instead, this sick government wants to invest in our capacity to conduct space wars rather than science and research. And, look, I understand there's a need for defense, and like that's one of the roles of government, and certainly we wouldn't want other countries to be able to like launch stuff at us in space that we can't respond to. Like, okay, fine. But there is no reason we can do both. And, I think for the good of the world, it would be better for the world if the United States led the way in investing in productive investments rather than destructive investments, right? I mean, we could be building, take the space out of it for a second. We could be investing in space research and science and stuff, but we could also be building more schools. We could be building more roads. We could be building public transportation. We could be building things that the things themselves would also be an addition to the economy.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
When we invest in bombs, that is literally, the bomb at, there's an economic positive that comes from building bombs in the form of, like the wages that the bomb builders receive and all that kind of stuff, and then they spend that in other places, and that's all fine and good. But the bomb itself, once it is built, it does not have a positive impact on society. It can only, like definitionally, have a negative impact on society. It can only destroy. If you have somebody building a school bus, then the school bus builder, their wages go into the economy, and that's positive and that's good. And then the school bus carries children to school, and then they learn and they become better able to be a citizen, right? The school bus creates returns itself once it's built. The bombs and the space bombs don't do that. And it's it's indicative of like a sick society. I think I got on a little bit more of a roll than I was planning to there, but I think that you had some stuff that you wanted to say about the Space Command.
Well, I think you hit a lot of the same notes that I would hit. Honestly, it is the big news, and so we felt like we had to acknowledge it. And you're right. The reaction from politicians almost universally was that this is the best thing since sliced bread. The reactions from everyday people, a little more skeptical. A lot of people are concerned about the influx because, like, this area, Huntsville, Madison, Athens in particular, have been growing like a weed in the last few years. Some of the fastest growing areas in the region. And the infrastructure has not caught up. If you're trying to drive in and out of Huntsville, Madison, Athens, in any time recently, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So there's road congestion. There's roads that need to be fixed up. There's minimal public transit. Housing and rent is going up and up and up. And a lot of people are struggling to keep up with this cost of living because, rent's going up, housing is going up, but our wages are not going up as fast. So you've got a lot of people feeling kind of already priced out of this community. So this influx, is something that is concerning folks. Now, I did see that Mayor Tommy Battle in Huntsville cautioned that, it's only 1,400 direct jobs over 5 years. And so, maybe it's not as drastic as some of the numbers out there. Obviously, some of those will be filled by transplants who will come here and buy houses and all that. Some hopefully will be filled by homegrown talent. So yeah, I feel kind of torn about it. On the one hand, it's typically a good thing if we have good paying federal jobs coming to our community, right? And that's a huge part of our economy here in the Huntsville area. But at the same time, to do it in a context where federal workers are under attack across this country, they're losing their jobs left and right. We've got budget cuts proposed that would slash even more of these jobs. And the president is ripping up their contracts, their collective bargaining agreements, and their union rights. So we've got a lot of federal workers already in this community who are really being put through the ringer right now. What about all of us who already live here, right? Who are already here? What about us? So that's kind of what's on a lot of people's minds, I think. We'll see how it plays out. It was the big news announcement. Many people are saying that was in part to distract from the big Epstein-related press conference this week. There was a very powerful press conference with Epstein victims and their lawyers who spoke eloquently about their demand for equal protection under the law. And so a lot of people think some of this was kind of meant to make a splash and distract from that news. So, those are our thoughts on Space Command. It's the big news of the day for Huntsville. Huntsville has long relied on federal employment and federal adjacent employment, right? Starting with the Tennessee Valley Authority, Redstone Arsenal, NASA, and the entire military industrial complex that has sprung up around that. And if you talk to pretty much anyone with a decent paying office job in the Huntsville area, chances are they work for the war machine. And of course, I can say that now, without any implications, because the president has renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War, which personally I approve of. I think it's the most honest thing he's ever done. And, if you have any historical knowledge of American foreign policy over the last couple centuries, you know what I'm talking about. But we don't have time this morning to get into Epstein or the Empire. Stay tuned, maybe for a bonus episode on that one day when Jacob's out of town. But it's the big news. We'll see what happens with it. But a lot of folks definitely concerned about whether we can keep up with this growth.
Yeah, folks don't realize just how much I'm holding Adam back, I don't think.
Well, that and my need to, maintain employment and a public reputation. The unfiltered thoughts. You got to subscribe for that, I guess.
No. I also agree with the Department of War stuff. It's been funny seeing the liberals react to it. And to be fair to the liberals, it's probably not legal for him to do this in this way, to be made permanent and whatever. It would need Congress would have to do it because Congress is the one that renamed.
Is it a good sign for the world? No,
it's not a good sign. But it's honest. And the Department of Defense is some Orwellian nonsense because, we haven't been engaged in proper, defense of the homeland from, from a threat in 100 years almost. So, the Department of Defense, super Orwellian, very bad. Trump's right here. Should be called the Department of War. And, we should also have a Department of Peace.
That would be great.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.